Me and my partner at the time had just moved into our new little unit. It was located out the back of the owner's house. The backyard was split in two, and we had a little garden shed. We pretty much lived in a bedsitter because the room consisted of one living area, which had a kitchenette down one wall, and the bed and lounge room was combined. The bathroom, however, was combined with the internal laundry in a separate room. It was a cosy little pad, although at times it was only good for one person because it was a little cramped. But we were desperate, so we needed our own place. We would have my partner's best mate come over and visit a lot, but we enjoyed her company and she enjoyed ours. If we weren't inside, we were out in the backyard, just soaking up the atmosphere and quiet in the new residence. We also had a little garden we planted flowers in, and we grew some veggies as well. We really wanted to make the backyard look nice. There was one thing that broke the quietness outside though, and that was the neighbours right next door over the fence. They were two women, and they happened to be a couple. They would talk loudly to each other, calling out from one end of the house to the other. It was a little strange hearing their whole conversations from our backyard, but we got used to it and tried not to listen to what they were talking about. Although after a few weeks of living there, we decided to start talking to them. It turned out that my partner went to school with one of the girls, so they already knew each other. I actually got along with her, but her partner, on the other hand, I found her very abrupt, withdrawn and moody. I felt like she didn't like us, but she did warm up to us eventually, but she was still very guarded. One evening, my partner, his best friend and I were just chilling inside watching TV when we hear banging coming from next door and then a slam of their sliding door. We all jumped up and went outside to see what was going on. No one next door was outside, but you could hear them yelling at each other inside. They were pretty loud, but we couldn't make out exactly what they were yelling about. Anyway, it was none of our business, but it was kind of annoying. My partner's bestie decided to head home because she felt a little bit awkward, and then she left. The next day, my partner was outside and seen one of the girls from next door. He asked her if everything was all right, because we could hear them yelling from the night before. She looked at him with a pause and then said, "What's it to you? Mind your own business." My partner was taken aback by that response, so he responded angrily, saying, "Well, sorry for caring." And then he stormed inside, venting to me about what had just happened. I told him to calm down and not to worry. Not long after, the other girl of the couple called out my partner's name. He went back outside and the neighbour apologised for her partner's actions. This didn't really make things better though, because my partner was now in a mood. This was something that I was going to have to deal with. But then, his best friend suddenly rocks up at the right time to calm him down. She was better at doing it than me. I was starting to realise that the neighbours were in some sort of toxic and abusive relationship. They would be fighting a lot, but one evening we heard them yelling again. My partner decided to pop his head out our door and call out to them to tell them to keep it down. Well, that didn't go down very well. The neighbour who snapped at my partner the other day came out in a rage, calling out my partner's name to get outside. Well, my partner was now up and he was ready for an argument. I really didn't want this to happen, but it was going to happen regardless. They were now yelling at each other. I told them to stop, but they didn't listen. It got to the point that the landlord came around and told us to keep it down. That actually made me really nervous. The neighbour went straight back inside their house, and my partner came back inside our place. For the next few weeks, we hadn't seen the neighbours outside at all, which I thought was weird. They were obviously avoiding us. Anyway, we had just lived our lives and no more fights and arguments happened between us and the neighbours while we lived there.